Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar, Desktop as a Service Partner Enablement webinar. My name is Mark Gierke with dinCloud. I'm a cloud solution specialist. My role is to work with our partners and our customers to provide education awareness around what we're doing, help design and scope solutions, help with the proposal process and the statement of work, kind of help with our partners and our customers, with the sales cycle from A to Z. So welcome to today's webinar. And what we're going to cover is, the traditional desktop life cycle. What are the routes to VDI, desktop as a service? What's Gartner saying? They've recently come out with a market analysis. Provide an overview of dinCloud, what we do, what kind of makes us unique, etc. Review a couple of case studies. Go into our cloud management portal, dinmanage. Talk about what resources dinCloud provides our partners, and then a little bit about the sales engagement process. How do you engage with us? So let's go ahead and get started. So let's take a look at the traditional desktop life cycle. Most of you folks are familiar with this. If you kind of start over here under the business planning and life cycle stage, every 3 to 5 years, your customers will come to you looking to refresh their desktops, their laptops, their PCs. They'll go through the procurement process. Typically, it's a competitive process. You're probably involved with a competitor. A lot of times, you'll orchestrate a competitive bid amongst the multiple manufacturers, Dell, HP, Lenovo, or do the same thing with the distributors. Come up with some pricing. Once you get the go-ahead to place the order is placed. Obviously, the desktops or laptops have to be imaged with the company image. That's either something that the partner does, the distributor and or the manufacturer. There's typically a cost associated with that. So once that's done, which takes time, that asset's got to be deployed to the field to that end user. Typically, there's a shipping expense that's incurred. A lot of times, there's also on-site service and support that's provided to do the install, move, add, change. Copy all the user's data, move their settings over, make sure all their apps are working. Then they're typically going to wrap that asset with an asset tag, some sort of hardware maintenance agreement. And then at the end of its life cycle, you'll dispose of that asset and go through the entire process all over again. That's a typical traditional desktop life cycle, which I'm sure everybody's very familiar with, very time-consuming, very expensive. According to Gartner, they come out with a desktop TCO report, every couple of years. The last one they came out with, according to Gartner, the true cost of traditional desktop management is anywhere from $275, to $482 per month. Difference being, how well managed are you? Do you have a ITIL-based help desk where you're taking high first call resolutions? Do you have software tools where you can do remote control? You can distribute software. You can automate the patching process. And if you've got all that, you're going to be around that $275 per user per month. So that's what Gartner's suggesting. The traditional cost of ownership is. So there's got to be a better way to do that. That's kind of where VDI and DaaS comes into play. So what's the market opportunity, for partners? According to Research and Markets, they did a desktop virtualization market analysis in December of 2016. They're predicting that the DaaS market or the desktop virtualization market will increase from $6.2 billion in 2016 to over $28 billion in 2022, which is a little over 4 years from now. So what's kind of driving that? A big driver, and we're seeing this as well. Growing need for data security and applications availability. Security and compliance is a big factor. Applications have to be available 24/7. Consumerization would, bring your own device, and mobility requirements are big drivers, as well as, an emphasis to cut costs. There's always an emphasis to cut costs. Then, here's the good news. The highest growth rate is anticipated in North America. That's good news for us resellers or you resellers here in North America. So how do you get there? Well, there's a couple different ways you can get to VDI or desktop as a service. Obviously, you can build it from scratch. You can leverage a platform, get to partial of the way there, or you can go with a turnkey desktop as a service approach. So let's kind of look at these different routes. Obviously, if you build from scratch, a lot of R&D, very CapEx intensive. A lot of upfront investment, as well as an ongoing, operating expense. That's typically the highest TCO. A lot of full-time employees to manage that infrastructure. That's building it from scratch. If you leverage a platform, such as, dinCloud, we've purpose-built our infrastructure for VDI. So if you wanted to roll your own, bring your own licensing, we'd be a perfect fit for that. But, typically, when you leverage a platform, you get you partial of the way there, so it's a bit of an incomplete solution. There's still some, CapEx expense along with OpEx expense. It has a high TCO, but not as high as, building it from scratch. Or you can leverage a service such as dinCloud where you get a turnkey solution, quick time to market, immediate time to market, no upfront investment, pay-as-you-go model, and it's the lowest, typically the lowest total cost of ownership. So those are kind of the routes to get there. And when you kind of, peel back the onion and take a look at it, VDI is very complex. I know of multiple customers that have, 100 to 200 user environments where they're doing it on premise, and we're taking, 6 full-time employees to manage everything. So when you build it from scratch, you got, what are your applications? What endpoint devices are you going to be using? What virtualization software do you want to use at the hypervisor level? What desktop virtualization software do you want to use? Typically, when you build infrastructure for high-performance VDI, it's separate infrastructure, separate switching and routing, high-performance networking, high-performance storage. So, there's all those considerations. You leverage what you have, you buy new, etc., upgrade. Then you get the, then you have the benefit of having to implement that, design it, build it, test it. And once you get it up and running, you got to patch it, you got to secure it, you got to maintain it, you got to back it up. You go through all that, and you don't know what the end result's going to be when you get there. And that's why desktop as a service, turnkey approach makes more sense. Not only do we believe that, but Gartner recently, last year, August of last year, came out with market guide of desktop as a service. They've been kind of following us since day one. They consider us a leader in the space. We were included in their market guide. And at the same time, they came out with a presentation, why desktop as a service instead of on-premise VDI. This is according to Gartner, which we certainly agree with. Eliminate complexity. You don't have to worry about managing, securing, patching the underlying infrastructure. So that's kind of number one. And complexity goes away. Greatly reduce your upfront investment. Move from a CapEx to an OpEx model, particularly with us. Optimize your staffing instead of managing, infrastructure and going through the routine tasks of managing infrastructure and maintaining and securing and backing up infrastructure. Your staff can now focus on, more core initiatives. Not only that, when the IT department makes a request, when the business department, business line of business makes a request to IT to, provision some new desktops, provision some new servers for applications. With the cloud, the IT department can respond in near real time, have those desktops or servers, up and running in minutes versus, days, weeks, or months with a traditional process. So optimizing staffing is another, benefit of DaaS over VDI. As well as, kind of, back to the economic model, pay as you go. Scale up when you need it, scale down when you don't. Only pay for what you need as you need it. Move from, CapEx to an OpEx model. That's what Gartner was suggesting the benefits of DaaS are. And as of a year ago, Gartner was suggesting the market was at, POC testing, mergers and acquisitions, secondary machines, short-term employees. That's what Gartner suggested that the market was a little over a year ago. And they said, 12 to 18 months, from about 13, 14 months ago, then we start to see heavier workloads, task workers, remote workers. And this is actually where we were at 12 to 18 months ago. Gartner is suggesting this is kind of where the market's at today. And then the exciting news is for partners in this space, is that, Gartner is suggesting for the mid-size enterprise, within 18 months of August of last year, or within the next 6 months, desktop as a service will be the default, workspace solution for the mid-size enterprise over VDI and over traditional desktop management. So again, little background on what Gartner's saying. They went on, to say some good things about us in their market guide. Gartner also included us in their market guide for cloud service providers that are providing infrastructure as a service to healthcare delivery organizations. So we're including that market guide as well. That was in November of last year. Here's kind of a a snippet from that. So a little overview of the market. What Gartner's saying. I thought I'd jump into kind of what do we do. So we're a cloud services provider. We launched in January 2011. We're based in LA. The core services that we offer are hosted virtual desktops or desktop as a service. That was kind of our niche when we went to market as a high-performance computing, a high-performance desktop provider. In addition to desktops, we offer hosted virtual servers, or infrastructure as a service. Many times customers are hosting desktops with us. They have a centralized file share, or they have applications or a file server that they want to host. If possible, we can host that as well. However, we have quite a few customers that are just hosting servers with us because of our high-speed infrastructure, because of our security, our ease of management, the things we include, which I'll cover. So again, desktops and servers are the hosted solutions that we offer. Then we also offer cloud storage for folks that want to kind of leave things where they're at and then leverage the cloud for offsite backup and recovery. We offer managed services around that as well. But one of our major differentiators is performance, very dense compute. We've got the latest and greatest hyper-converged infrastructure, very fast compute, very fast networking, extremely fast storage, where we're seeing over 1 million IOPS on reads. Then security would be another one. Each customer gets their own dedicated, isolated environment. That's how we create that virtual private data center. We basically isolate things at layer 2, give each customer their own dedicated VLAN to get their own dedicated virtual appliance for routing, networking, subnetting, firewalling, creating VPN tunnels. And we've integrated that into our dinmanage portal, which is our cloud orchestration and management portal. We provide our partners and our customers to manage their environments. So those are kind of our core services. And what are we seeing as desktop as a service, use cases, or why are customers moving to desktop as a service? So what we're seeing is extend the life of existing hardware. We kind of went over that whole desktop life cycle. Well, instead of doing that every 3 to 5 years, now you maybe do that every 5 to 7 years. Those endpoints don't have to be that powerful, because with desktop as a service, the endpoint is no more than a thin client. All the processing is being done in the data center. So basically, you can extend the life of the existing hardware until it dies, and then when it does fail, you replace with something more cost effective, a thin client, a zero client, a Chromebook, or you implement a BYOD strategy. It's another way to dramatically reduce costs. Let your employees bring the devices they're already familiar with, log on to the corporate image, and keep total isolation and separation. So extending existing hardware is kind of a big use case that we're seeing. Remote office, branch office, independent contractors, consultants, temp workers, where you want to keep your intellectual property within the data center, set policies so nobody can save anything locally. Nothing can be saved to the USB port, those sorts of things. You can maintain intellectual property and security and compliance. The economic benefits, move from a CapEx and an OpEx model to a pure OpEx model. Scale up when you need to, scale down when you don't, only pay for what you need. And we talked about BYOD, mobilization, bring your own device, consumerization. Folks want to be able to access their applications and data from any device, anywhere, anytime. DaaS allows you to do that without having to manage complex VPNs. And then you get inherent business continuity and disaster recovery. Those desktops are secured, high availability environment. They're backed up on a regular basis. Typically you don't get that with your desktops. Traditional desktops. Those are kind of some of the common use cases we're seeing. And then a little bit about dinCloud. As I mentioned, we launched in January 2011. Gartner has been following us since day one. We've gotten some great press from IDC 451. We were Microsoft's Cloud Partner of the Year. Our VP of Sales, David Graffi, has won Channel Chiefs the last 3 or 4 years in a row. So we've gotten a lot of great press. In every performance benchmark test we were involved in, we actually came out on top. Here's one that was done in 2012. We went up against Citrix. As you can see here, we 4X from a performance perspective, the best VDI solution in 2012. And that was in our 1.0 product, where we were, using 15K SAS drives, where we're seeing 50 to 60,000 IOPS. We're now on our second generation SSDs, where we're seeing over 1 million IOPS. So we've come a long way, as well as upgrading the hyper-converged infrastructure. Same year, Network World did a performance benchmark test. We went up against Deftone, which is actually the underlying infrastructure, underlying technology behind the VMware's Horizon Air platform. We came out on top there. We had strong and fast performance. Onboarding process was easy and professional. They had no cons. I've been reading Network World for approximately 20 years and don't recall seeing no cons, particularly in the 1.0 product. So we're pretty pleased with that. Just to share a couple, case studies with you. Here's one. National Asset Direct, $1.2 billion in annual revenues. They're in the real estate investment trust business. You're purchasing large office buildings and complexes and had a lot of old, outdated technology as part of these acquisitions. They came to us looking to reduce costs and improve productivity. Not always easy to do. By moving their applications and their desktops to the cloud, they can focus on their core business. We provide them anywhere, anytime access, improved productivity, lowered costs. Their CEO and CTO went on record, saying that it didn't take long to realize the benefits of the turnkey solution, and that we saved them over 50%. And we shared this with Microsoft. Microsoft, met with them on site and actually published this on their website. This is actually a case study that's on Microsoft's website. Then another recent, I wouldn't say a recent win, is back in 2014. Zebra Technologies was acquiring Motorola Solutions, needed to bring on 4,500 employees, had been using VMware and Citrix for many years, and we had gone through a very long RFP and POC process. And at the end of the day, they decided to go with us. They quickly realized during the proof of concept stage, that we were the right solution with our ease of management, the performance they were seeing, etc. So, they're a referenceable customer. We have a case study around them. So a little bit, about dinCloud. So we talked about our core services: hosted desktops, hosted servers, offsite cloud storage for backup and recovery. So let's kind of drill down on, where we physically host out of. So we host out of Tier 3 plus, Tier 4 data centers. These are world-class facilities, Equinix facilities. There's over 140 locations globally. Today, we're in Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Jose. These facilities have all the necessary certifications: SSA E16, SOC 1 and 2, Type 2, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, SOX, HIPAA compliant, etc. Extremely well connected. All the major carriers connect there. So by having your desktops or your applications hosted out of an Equinix data center, you're typically going to be experiencing great performance and low latency. When we're available to give tours, to kind of put things in perspective, years ago during Hurricane Sandy, Equinix New Jersey was off the grid for 8 days. However, not one customer lost power or networking. These facilities could run it indefinitely off the grid. Again, available for tours, so that's where we physically host out of. And then another thing that we kind of differentiate ourselves is performance being one, security being another one, ease of management with our dinmanage portal, and then we include things other folks charge extra for, like bandwidth. All the inbound, outbound bandwidth with us is included. You log on to one of our desktops or servers, you're going to see 500, 600 megabit up and down. We include all that bandwidth for free, so you'll never see any transfer charges. On our servers and desktops, we're including 10 days worth of backups. So that's included. Then as far as the security layers, I'm going to drill down on now. I mentioned we provide each customer their own dedicated, isolated environment. And then we provide perimeter, network, and host-based security on top of that. At the perimeter, we're using a service called ThreatStop. It's blocking bad IPs at the perimeter, so we're doing a good job of keeping botnets, malware, malicious content, worms off the network. And also somebody, that we're hosting with is hosting a desktop or a server with us, and it gets infected, and that machine tries to connect to a known bad IP. ThreatStop will block it at the perimeter, send us alert, so the problem resolved. That happens occasionally. So ThreatStop also provides some zero-day protection inherently built in, something we include for free. We're going to monitor our portion of the network, using a unified security management system, taking IDS information, log information, event information, feeding that into a security information event management system, prioritizing, correlating events, taking third-party threat intelligence, tying that all together, allowing us to make, near real-time decisions on, any potential threats. And then each customer gets their own dedicated, isolated environment. As I'd mentioned, at layer 2, you get a separate VLAN, your own dedicated virtual appliance. Today we use a Brocade Viata, which is a best-of-breed, cloud virtual appliance. We include two-factor authentication on our admin portal. So every time an admin goes to log on, you have to go through a two-factor authentication process. We can offer two-factor authentication and single sign-on on our desktops and servers as an option. We encrypt in transit, and we encrypt at rest. Not all providers will encrypt at rest, so that's kind of a major requirement, to maintain compliance. And then, as I mentioned, we include the backup and the bandwidth. And then for the host-based AV and malware protection, we offer the Microsoft stack as part of our standard image. Customers can bring, or partners can bring, whatever they want. Since it's a dedicated, isolated environment, you can bring any third-party agent-based tools, any third-party physical or virtual appliances, and manage those, within our environment. So again, No issues whatsoever or any third-party tools. We'll include the Microsoft security stack. We can offer Trend as an option, or you can bring whatever you like. So it's a little overview of security. What I thought I'd do now is just kind of jump into our dinmanage portal. So this is our cloud orchestration and management portal. Basically allows you to auto provision desktops and servers and storage, manage your images. So when you spin up new users or new servers, you're using your images, provide remote management so you can remote console to any desktop or server if you're with an internet connection or browser securely. Get all your reporting and analytics in one place. And this can be co-branded for our partners. So this is kind of a screenshot of what the dashboard looks like. So you get an overview of your desktops, your servers, your security setting, basic machine stats, documentation, as far as user guides, admin guides, troubleshooting guides, all the recent activity. Every time an admin logs on, it's recorded. Every time they make a change to something, it's recorded. And as I mentioned, you have two-factor authentication. This logo over here can be the partner's logo. We can use the partner's domain, so we can provide a nice co-branded experience. And then as far as, very clean, easy to use interface, the auto provisioning, very, very easy to provision, desktops or servers. Just basically choose the resources, the quantity, add it to cart, go through your shopping cart experience, and within minutes, those desktops are available to you, or servers. You can see the desktop and server screens, look very similar. And then once those desktops or servers have been provisioned within minutes, then you can provide remote management. You can drill down over here and get more detailed information, get analytics. Then over here under actions, this is where you can take remote control of any desktop or server. You want to make changes, you want to troubleshoot, etc. You can power on, power off resources, restart things, upgrade, downgrade resources on the fly. You get your, we provide analytics of 1-minute intervals, CPU, memory, disk IOPS, network bandwidth in and out. So you can set alerts where if you meet a certain threshold, you can get alerts. So you can make a determination. Is it time to upgrade or downgrade resources? And if you decide to, very easy to do right here under upgrade, downgrade on the fly. You can change this remote console password. You don't have to contact us. Flexible networking. You can create multiple subnets. You can move VMs, whether it's a desktop or server, from one subnet to another. You want to view all the activity by an admin. You can do that. Or another benefit of the cloud, provision resources when you need them, deprovision them when you don't. With us, when you deprovision a server or a desktop, we'll store it in this My Deprovision tab up here for 48 hours as a convenience. You can unassign a desktop. You can convert to a template. So you get a desktop the way you want it. You convert it to a template. Then it's in your library. So you go to spin up new desktops or servers. You're spinning that from your library. Or you get a desktop or a server the way you want it. You can clone it, save it as a template, and use that for future desktops or servers. So that's kind of the remote management, as well as the image management, as well as the automation. And we've also automated some very complex networking and tasks around setting up the networking, setting up the firewall, adding a VPN. We've automated all that. So we made it extremely simple. We've included some tools for Active Directory. Typically, there'd be an Active Directory server on our end that will communicate with a customer's AD on their end, or it will, will be the primary on our end. So we've got some tools to kind of, convert a Windows server to an AD server. And then once you create desktops or servers and you want to join those to the domain, we've got a tool to mass join them to the domain. As well as, as I mentioned, reporting and analytics. You can drill down on a desktop or a server, get very detailed information. Over here, you get your specifications. You can give it labels. You can get your networking information. You can change your disk information over here. You can add disks. Over here, you can networking information. You can move a VM. You can schedule tasks in the future. You want to restart things. You want to do an upgrade at 2 a.m. on a Sunday night. You can schedule those tasks to happen in the future. Or you can manage your ISOs. You can view all the activity by an admin. Or you can drill down over here and get machine stats, which I'll show you, which is the next screen here. So we give you real-time information, 1-minute intervals, CPU, memory, disk IOPS, and network bandwidth in and out. Here's an example of what a real-time snapshot looks like. And then here's a historical. So you get real-time and historical data. The historical data can be exported to a third party, Excel spreadsheet, what have you. But here's the cool part. You get to set alerts. So for example, if my CPU utilization is above is above 90% for 5 minutes. Send an email to these people so you can get alerts. Then you can log into your portal, look at the real-time information, look at historical information. Does it make sense to upgrade or downgrade resources? That's kind of the alerting and the monitoring that we provide. And what we're moving in a future release is you'll be able to take action. So if my CPU, my memory, or my disk is exceeding a certain threshold for a certain period of time, I can add more on the fly without any user intervention. And I can also set policies to do the same to back off those resources. So you'll be able to automatically scale up and scale down based on your policy without any user intervention. So that's coming. So that's our monitoring and analytics. We've also kind of released a new AI virtual robot service that will basically look at and go through business processes for typically mission critical applications from an end user's perspective. Many a times your network tools or the monitoring tools you have says everything's fine. However, you got users that are complaining about performance. Well, this will kind of monitor your entire process from an end user, like an order entry system or what have you. Basically, go through your processes as an end user, so you'll know ahead of time before users start complaining. So it's our new virtual robot service. And then from our dinmanage portal, you can also get all your support tickets in one place, and from day one. You can issue new support tickets. We provide 24/7 support. If it's a priority one issue, we've got a 20-minute response time around that. And priority one is determined by the customer or the partner. So it's our 24/7 support. And then when we onboard a customer, we've got a very detailed and very mature process, very detailed documentation. We've got a kickoff checklist. We've got a Gantt chart with timelines and all the actions that need to be performed. We've got a roles and responsibilities matrix. We'll assign a project manager. We'll assign an implementation team. We'll walk our partners and their customers through every step of the way, holding their hands. So we make it very easy to bring customers on. Then as far as the partner resources, we provide a number of resources for our partners. From a billing perspective, typically we'll build a partner, the partner will build the end user. However, some partners would like for us to build the end user. We can do that as well. We provide you with a dedicated sales and engineering pre-sale support team. So you have scenarios you want to go over. We're here to help. We'll help design and scope solutions. We're here to give presentations. We're here to give demos. We have free demo accounts for our customers and our partners. We've got a deal registration link. Obviously, there's a lot of information on our website. We've got sales training. We provide live training. We've got battle cards, cold calling guides, how to handle objection. I talked about our dinmanage portal. We can use your domain, your logo, your look and feel. And we also provide branded marketing materials. So again, everyone, just kind of want to thank you for your time. Just want to go through a little bit about what we do and how we're enabling our partners to get into the exciting desktop as a service space. We do have free demo accounts available. The URL is there. Feel free to call our sales department at any time, 424-286-2300 extension 1, or feel free to reach out to me directly, Mark Gierke at 424-286-2312, or mgierke, MGIERKE at dincloud.com. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day.